In Toronto, Race Week literally explodes with color when the downtown parade starts off. At Queen's Park, the drivers are greeted by the Honourable James Auld on behalf of the Premier of Ontario. The architecture of the venerable Parliament buildings is in striking contrast to the modern lines of the towering Toronto City Hall. Some old-fashioned lines will never be improved upon. It doesn't matter how they are draped. What's new, pussycat? The checkered flag means a winner, and here's one in the deluxe class at the Race Week Fashion Show. At the pre-race banquet held at the official headquarters, the banquet guests listened to racing greats such as Bruce McLaren. Now, Choquet's turn. A bow from Jackie Stewart. And then Jean Saint-Jacques of Players. The dancing begins, but it's not Waltz Me Around Again, Willie. It's the tempo of the 60s. It's the era of go-go, the racing generation. And this is what it's all about, where it's happening. Mosport, 1966, where a habit for record setting is well established, where more people attend a racing event than any other sports attraction in Canada, where a wave of sports car dedication, not yet crested, was born a scant half-dozen years ago, where drivers from all over the world look upon the track as an absolute must in the international racing circuit. At Mosport, bonanza business is forgotten as NBC star Dan Blocker pursues the sport he most admires. Dan's practiced eye is on the competing beauties designed by Bruce McLaren to be driven by Bruce himself and his formidable teammate, Chris Amon. And what about the track itself?
Well, this is Mosport, and I'm Bruce McLaren. Now, the only trouble is that you can't really see here just how much up and downhill this track is. It's just like a very windy road through a pretty mountainous sort of district. We start off from the pit and paddock area here with a very short little straightaway. We plunge downhill into turn 1. Quite an exciting turn. It goes on for quite a long while, and I guess we'd average about 75 to 80 mile an hour all the way through the turn. Accelerating out of that, down into corner 2 here, which is one of the most difficult corners on the circuit. You come over the brow of a hill, right about here. We plunge down through the corner. You get a good, what we would term, four-wheel drift. From there, a short little burst, and then stand very hard on the brakes for this turn 3. Then we have a reasonably fast straight down into another left-hander, which once again is downhill, and then a very sharp uphill pull into this corner here, very appropriately named Moss Corner. This section is reasonable, but suddenly the corner gets very tight, and it goes downhill. It's quite tricky. From there we accelerate full throttle all the way through the gears. Now we would have wheel spin with the back wheel spinning in probably 2nd, 3rd and 4th gear up to about 140 mile an hour, and then by this time you'd be in top gear, still accelerating up to a maximum of about 165. There's a brow of a hill. Going over the brow, the car goes a little light, you have to be careful with it, and then brake for turn 8 here. It's a fair percentage of the whole circuit, and you can make up quite a bit of time. A nice, fast, smooth run through these corners picks up a lot of time as far as your overall lap time on the circuit goes. It's very difficult to hold the car in on the apex of the corner here. You'll see a lot of cars will come in with the front wheels tending to push straight ahead a little bit, then they'll come out in a classic sort of sports car power slide out towards the start-finishing line. Looks quite good, in fact.
The Players 200 is just what it implies. 2 heats of 100 miles each. Now is the time when the drivers become gods, settled into their cramped machines, tense eyes glued on their instruments and the starter's flag, and the crowds, tense with excitement, sensing the tremendous strain. It's a one-lap rolling start led by a pace car. With the control jockeying done, the race is flagged on its way. At Moss Corner, Bruce McLaren, the 1964 winner, leads the pack. McLaren designs his own cars. This is his Elva Oldsmobile. Past the pits, and McLaren is setting a heady pace. Charlie Hayes is second, followed by Chris Amon, Moschenbacher, Grant, Cannon, Parsons, and Stewart. McLaren is informed that one of his main rivals, Jackie Stewart, is in the pit. In the meantime, Charlie Hayes is being pressed by Amon. And John Cannon in Dan Blocker's car finds Moschenbacher hard on his heels. Chris Amon loses control and spins out on Moss Corner. But a pair of iron hands tame the powerful machine, and the chase goes on. Lothar Moschenbacher, also in a McLaren-designed Olds, kept out of trouble, but couldn't catch the veteran Bruce McLaren. Charging up the back straight, McLaren makes 165 miles an hour look easy, and he whistles under the checkered flag in #1 position. So the favorites are now established. It's a moment of triumph and relaxation for the first heat leaders. But not for the mechanics, who may make the difference between final victory and defeat. Driver and machine are in vital partnership. Neither can afford the slightest lapse.
What happened?
Broke it.
Oh, no.
Missed a gear change.
You won't be able to go into the second race, huh?
No way.
No. Well, that's racing.
That's racing, all right. And so is this, the second heat of the Players 200. Bruce McLaren, with a reputation for taking the lead and keeping it, soon had his competitors in a position of trying to catch him. Man and machine were functioning perfectly. Moschenbacher and Cannon had their work cut out, and there was little time left. The sideline signals became more and more urgent as Cannon and Moschenbacher took runs in turn at the speeding McLaren. The pace was pure murder, and Cannon was forced to the pits. Chris Amon is in third spot, and all three leading machines were designed by the front-running McLaren. With Moschenbacher and McLaren sometimes mere feet apart, the crowd went wild with excitement. But their cheers for the underdog turned to cheers for the winner when McLaren was flagged a victory. Moschenbacher was forced to settle for second, with Amon third. The princess of the players' proceedings gave Bruce McLaren a special award. And J.M. Keith, president of Imperial Tobacco, presented the proud designer driver with the Players 200 trophy.